Hi Techie guys, I'm Nankishore Swami, and in this particular tutorial we would be learning about running an Excel macro uh, using Automation Anywhere and passing certain parameter values. So let's get started. Go ahead and click on New Task Editor. So you would be having the Task Editor window open, and then go ahead and create an Excel macro. So that Excel workbook should have the file extension as .xlsm or .xlsb, otherwise our macro would not save into the Excel workbook. So I have already created one sample data, wherein in the column A we have the name, column B we have age, column C we have cumulative age. That cumulative age would be calculated by one of the macro within the Excel workbook. So go ahead and click on developer. If you don't see the developer tab on your Excel workbook, then go ahead and go to the file option and then customize ribbon and checkbox on the developer, so this developer tab will be visible. Then click on Visual Basic, and I have already written this small macro inside the Visual Basic. So what this macro does, it loops through I2 to 6, so that I denotes to the row number, and if it is first row, then in the column C, same row, the value would be equals to column B, and if it is not 2, for everything else we're gonna increment the value of the current column by adding the current column current rows B columns value with the previous rows C columns value. So I'm gonna run this macro and just watch out the column C, so it will automatically calculate the cumulative age and fill out this information. There we go. It's really quick. So now we will have our Automation Anywhere to run this macro, and let's see how it goes. So save and close your Excel macro, and before closing just delete all the existing data and save. So our column C, currently it's blank, and close it. Now go back to your Automation Anywhere. Since it's Excel spreadsheet, so for any Excel spreadsheet action, we need to have the spreadsheet open first to create the session. So let's drag and drop the open spreadsheet option. You can have any session name as you wish, and from the browse button just select your Excel macro workbook. If you want to specify any sheet name, then go ahead, otherwise just leave it as default. Click on save, and then the next option that we need to use is run Excel macro. So the session name should be the same which we use while opening the Excel workbook, and then give the macro name, which is for now CM age. So this is the macro name. We wrote the macro in Excel workbook. So now click on save and save, and go ahead and run it. So when you run, it will first open the workbook, and we really can't see when it did it run. It's really quick. So now to make sure it runs correctly, let's delete all the value again, and this time we're gonna pass a parameter, and that parameter value we're going to display as a message box at the end. So go back to the developer, Visual Basic, and to pass any parameter could be passed as a value or as a reference. So for now we're going to pass it as a value. So by our variable name, anything, so my message as it is string, and we'll display this my message at the end once the macro done running. So to display the message box, we're going to add a message box, and in the message box we'll show the parameter value or argument value. So I'm going to save it, say OK, again save, say OK, close, and close workbook, and just make sure everything is blank for now. And now we're gonna pass the parameter. So just open the line number 2 where we run the macro, and there is another option called macro argument, and I'm gonna pass some value here that we can see once our macro is done running. So yes, I'm macro, and I'm done running. So this is the value that we should see once the macro is done running as a prompt box or as a message box from the Excel spreadsheet. So let's go ahead and run it. So there we go. So these are the calculated value by the macro, and this is the message box that we sent as an argument to the macro. So click on OK and close the spreadsheet, and now look at the code again. So to run any spreadsheet macro, we need to first open the spreadsheet and then choose run macro option from Excel. And to run the macro, we need the session name and then macro name, and then if there is any argument, then we need to pass that argument value. That could be passed as another variable as well. So that's it in this tutorial. Thanks for watching. See you in next tutorial.